Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me in another video. So I recently talked about Lucie and Luke Meier leaving JIL Sander. That was already announced. Initially, I wanted to bake that in with a review of the show, but of course the video had not been released, and I figured, you know what, for today, let's just talk about the collection. And of course, for Lucie and Luke Meier, this was their final bow, their final swan song here. So we'll talk about what we saw on the runway, the themes, and of course the handbags. Let's get into it. For this collection, what we saw at the start of the runway was just pitch black. The setting, the floor, the curtains, the catwalk, and the first several looks very black. That was a major theme in this collection. This first look, it's this like tinselly fringed metallic dress. These metallic fringes is something Lucie and Luke Meier have been doing for the past few seasons. Again, this black turtleneck with this black fringe skirt, this men's long black coat with these looks like feathers, then this fur dress, a black fringe top and pants, another black coat with feather bits, and then we have this pale pink first moment of color here, and then more black fringe looks. Lots of black, but lots of texture just to give it a little bit more visual interest. And then the silver black gradient look. This was also a theme. And then we've got this deep red sequin dress with this layering of belts and fringe or pleats. It's a really cool look actually. And then like a silver version of that look. So I could keep going, but over time, gradually this collection, it goes from like very dark to light. They use this term, a quote, a bright metaphor of love. Through that gradual change, we see various pops of color, silver, textures, furs, gradient prints, studs, men in kilts, knitwear, lace, bows, metallics, sequins. It does feel like some kind of metaphor here. And many designers, when they're about to leave a brand, they often use black as this kind of mourning or this farewell, their final goodbye to this era, but also something maybe hopeful to look forward to. Now, when it came to the shoes, the studded shoes were pretty much all throughout this collection. I thought they were really cool. We had these like studded boots. It just gave a lot more visual interest. And I feel like with some of these shoes with like the lace up, a lot of the vibes around this collection just felt very like 2009 to me. With all of these studs that we're seeing, it kind of reminds me of the time when we saw the Alexander Wang, the Rocco bag. That was around the time when we also saw the launch of the Valentino Rock stud line. That kind of like late 2000s edgy vibe. These shoes kind of like take me back to that era. I also think it's very interesting that they're using a lot of these studs because one of the names that is being speculated as mentioned to be the next creative director at JIL Sander, and who knows, maybe by the time this video goes out it will be announced, but one of the names is Simone Bellotti, and he is known for his use of studs throughout this collection, especially on the shoes, the accessories, and just like the hardware bits on like the belts. We're also seeing these studs on like these Mary Janes and also these Doc Marten-esque boots. You could definitely feel the real punk references here. Even some of these guys, they kind of have this rockabilly vibe with the hair. Then we've got these ultra high studded boots. Looks like they're like over the knee or even thigh high. It's giving this like seamless but like contrast against this silky satiny white dress. Now, when it came to the handbags, a lot of black throughout this collection. We've got this, looks like this first look is a goji pillow bag, but I could be wrong. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle because this whole collection, it's very black, and then a lot of these looks are very black, and then the bags are black. It is very hard to see some of these images, so I'm going to try my best to see if I can get different angles. I do apologize if it's not the easiest to see some of these images. Then we also had this goji pillow with this horizontal quilting. It looks very modern and edgy, styled in this way with the studded leggings and the shoes. It takes this ladylike look and brings this contemporary edge to it, which I think is interesting. Next, we have this folded in clutch. This looks like it's in an eelskin material. It looks like there were smaller versions of this as well. It looks like it could be like a tote that's like folded in. There are also these oversized clutches in this ostrich or ostrich embossed print. Again, some of these like really oversized coats. It was giving this really ultra comfy, cozy vibe. Next, we have this mini clutch. Again, super hard to see. Looks like it's got stud-like embellishment with a goji kiss lock. And then we have the style that we saw quite a bit in different iterations, and it was this bag, and it has this curved base. Some of the models were like clutching it, but some models were holding on to the strap. But it looks like it came in like a black, red lizard embossed, as well as this more so north-south version in this brown lizard embossing. Another version of this came with this studded bottom. Again, reminds me with the studded bottom, I'm always gonna think of like the Alexander Wang Rocco bag. Next we have this like smaller clutch with the goji kiss lock. It's a little bit hard to see. So we've got it in this black, this pale grayish blue. I actually like this one quite a bit. It also comes in a red, a cream, and then this khaki brown kind of color. And then we've got this rectangular, maybe it's rectangular, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just the angle. It's this more so like thin kind of embellished outlines of the chain create these square pattern. It comes in this black and this white. And then there were these men's clutches, or at least a lot of the guys were carrying this clutch. Anyone can really wear it, but on a lot of the guys, they were seen wearing this clutch with this wristlet strap, and some models were holding it open and some in a purposefully open way. Some were closed. Not sure if that was a runway styling kind of thing. And then we've got this geometric rectangular style, a little bit more east-west, kind of reminds me of like something you'd see at a Loewe. And then this zippered duffel bag with these studs around the edges. Then there were these utility bags that kind of felt like a very utilitarian cosmetic-like bag in leather and ostrich, or this ostrich embossed as well. And then we've got this dipped in shoulder bag. It came in like black leather as well as ostrich, or that print, ostrich print. And then this interesting gathered clutch, very east-west, also had that goji kiss lock. And then we have the canolo, but it's got studs around the edges. Canolo is a style they've had for the past couple years, but the studded accents, I think, just give it a little bit more visual interest. Now, in terms of the styles that stood out to me the most, I have to say it's probably that pillow goji with those quilts. It did remind me a little bit of the Phoebe Philo drive bag. Not like it's the same bag, but kind of like the same kind of idea of taking this very ladylike silhouette, this kiss lock clutch bag, adding these quilts, modernizing a very like vintage ladylike looking handbag. So I think it's a really interesting style. I also really did like the canolo with the studs around the edges. So like the pale shark blue suede with the goji kiss lock. Also that very elongated gathered goji kiss lock clutch as well. Lots of clutches in this collection. This was their final farewell collection, so if you ever wanted to pick up something, this is kind of it. And you can see how their work really has evolved over the years. I do think my favorite period from them was probably 2020, like 2021. There was something about the work that they did during that period that I just loved, but I also feel like this was a pretty cool collection too. Like there were a lot of pieces I liked that I could actually see myself wearing. Also like adding something a little bit different to my wardrobe. I don't know if I really gravitate towards everything though. Like I don't know if I'm into these tinsely fringes that they've been doing, but there are a lot of things that I could see myself wearing. And I thought some of the shoes also quite interesting as well. I always thought Lucie and Luke Meier did really great shoes, really interesting metal hardware bits. So we're seeing that here as well. But I did think some of those harness belts pretty cool and edgy. I also thought the way the belts contrasted and like sort of cinched in these like furry looks were kind of cool. I actually thought the studded leggings were very cool. Like my 2009 self would have loved those, and I still like them now. Even though it's not really my style anymore, I still think it's cool to look at. Overall, this collection, it did feel like a collection of mourning, the end of an era, and I definitely felt that. I'll definitely miss Lucie and Luke Meier at JIL Sander. That's my video for today. Thank you so much for joining me in another one, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!